Well, look at this. We're starting to get some of the campaigns that I thought we were going to be getting in the month of October. So if you missed out on my upcoming events for the, I guess month of October, a bit redundant, but basically most of this month is going to be pretty dead, but there are a lot of small campaigns that they can just kind of put in here so that way we don't have to worry about them later, because FGO likes to do this thing where they'll be like, we drop a banner, maybe give you a CE, and we call it quits. We don't do anything else, right? They're very sparse on dropping actual content. Granted, the actual content usually is like a full-fledged story and everything, so I think it's kind of worth it sometimes. But they don't really drop a whole lot, right? They're like, here's this banner. If you're not going to summon, that's tough on you because that's all we're doing for this week. But I'm glad they're kind of putting these into the Halloween campaign, because if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was on JP for this Halloween exactly, but I do recall there being like a 3-month dead period. I think it was for Grail Live, where they pretty much just dropped that, and the weekly update we got was there's new costumes, and they revealed like 3 new costumes. So it was like a dead month. It was terrible. So I'm glad we're not getting quote-unquote a dead month. We're working through some of these different campaigns, and we're going to talk about this one in this video. Now, there's not a whole lot going here, but you should still leave a like on the video and subscribe for that daily FGO content, because your boy's going to make sure you at least have something Fate-related to watch every single day. I also might be branching a little bit into Samurai Remnant. In fact, for today's stream over on Twitch at about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I want to have like a minor spoiler discussion about Samurai Remnant. I just finished one of the endings. I believe what I got on my first run was the true ending that a lot of people are calling it, because I made a pretty interesting decision halfway through. So if you would like to be a part of that, I'm going to try not to spoil too much of the story. I just want to talk about the characters and some of my thoughts on the gameplay and all that good stuff, and prep myself for a review that I want to make for the channel. So come on down for that if you want to have a little discussion on Samurai Remnant. I'll play FGO in the background and stuff, so it'll be a fun time. But moving into this campaign, basically there are 2 things. One, we're getting a really cute Ereshkigal CE. I love that we're getting this because it's just nice collector things that I like. Is it going to be useful for me? Absolutely not. I will never use the CE. It's going into the second archive, but every now and then when I'm wandering through my second archive, I might look at it and go, wow, Ereshkigal is really cute. So I like getting little things like this. They're really nice. They're commemorative. This, not really a thing, right? Like, unless you're a super hard mega whale and you care about getting a bajillion friend points, or for some reason you really care about NP5ing or Angramine you're not really going to care about this, right? Like, I don't even consider this a part of the whole actual celebration. This is kind of nice. If you do have like any of these servants and you are trying to grail them to 100, this can be a good time for you to go ahead and do this. Or not grail them to 100, but even 120 is what I actually mean, because grailing to 120 is absolutely insane. You need a metric butt ton of experience and QP to get it done, not to mention there's servant coins. So this is a good time that if you're ever like, hey man, I was going to take my Gilgamesh, the true Giga Chad king, the boss, if you will, of FGO, right? I want to get him to 120. Now is a good time to get that done. Although I would kind of save that for the Archer Guild, but if Cast Guild is more of your prerogative, go ahead. So this is a good time to grail them, basically, if you want to kind of get these guys at least up to 100 and maybe even pass it a little bit, because you'll save yourself a lot of potential EXP, QP, and not really servant coins, because those will always stay the same. But then the main thing that I guess a lot of people are going to care about, the main banner over here. Now, the headlining unit is going to be Ereshkigal. Now, she just recently got a buff over here on NA that gives her a special damage mod against Earth attribute enemies, and then she also, I believe, gets an attack buff on her NP that was added. It was that or something else. Basically, she's getting more damage, right, is the main thing. And it makes her really good as a buster farming servant. Now, she'll always have her, I don't even want to call it a niche, but she'll just be solid in more difficult content because she's got invincibility. Her buffs can't be removed. She's got debuff immunity, right? She can support the party with NP gain, defense, gives them attack, all that stuff procs on her NP and her third skill as well. 50% battery is always going to be good. She'll always have a nice niche there, but you can also use her as a buster farmer, right? Against archers and berserkers, she'll be very phenomenal, but even if you want to bring her type neutral against, say, riders, casters, assassins, people like that, she can do really well if you have that Earth attribute power mod, because there's a lot of servants that fall under Earth attribute, and there's a lot of just random goon enemies that also fall under that Earth attribute power mod. So she could be a very good option to go for if no one else this year is really catching your fancy. You know, if you already got Koyanskaya, so her rerun you don't really care about, and if you don't really care about quick units, right, so you're not going to go for Scotty for Christmas, then go for Ereshkigal, right? Like, she's a very solid servant. Same thing with Masashi, who's also, I believe, still on rate up. There are just good servants they're bringing back around that if you don't care about, like, the new Ryoma that's coming out, or Izuma, or Jacques de Molay, then by all means, feel free to summon for these servants, because I don't really think the next hype main big servant that I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to is coming out until about Valentine's, which is when Bazette comes out. Maybe if you're a Koyanskaya, enjoy your New Year's for the new Koyanskaya unit, but even then, she's just like a really solid buster farming unit as well, right? It's not like she's a must summon, she's just another really good buster farmer. Like one of the more upper echelon ones, but I don't know. That's a whole debate in and of itself as to where she stands in the buster farming. But maybe that's a whole thing I'll do during New Year's, because I'm like, oh, if I say this, I'm going to open a can of worms in the comments, and I'm like, let me just save that for New Year's when this actually becomes a bit more relevant. But bottom line, she's very, very strong. Now, the other jokers on this banner, you could probably avoid and save your Saint Quartz, right? Like, obviously, Jean is going to be on any free 5-star tickets we get in the future. So should Sitanai, I believe. If you really want Nero, which, believe me, I fall under that camp. When I started my FGO account, I bought, like, I think the $80 pack just to try to get Nero on the story summon, and I failed horrifically. I understand, like, Nero's a very, you know, awesome servant, right? I like Nero a lot, but it's like, I wouldn't go into this banner specifically for them unless she's, like, your favorite servant, right? Now, I know I'm also the goofy goober that summoned for Jean and put that up on the channel, but also, you know, I'm me, all right? Like, I don't know what to tell you, right? I'm me. I'm making the stupid decisions, so you don't have to, right? If you want to go in for the limited unit Ereshkigal, I think that's very much worth it. If you want to go in for these other jokers that you could get on free tickets, especially because we have a free 4-star ticket coming up that you can pick up Nero on, I wouldn't advise spending your Saint Quartz on that, right? Going for some of these limited units that don't come around as often, even though Losengal is trying to bring them out a bit more often, I still don't think I think is smarter, right? Going for the limited ones is good. Going for the not limited ones, not so much. Especially because Jean and Sitanai, as much as I'm like, oh, I'm a huge Jean simp and I think Sitanai is really funny, right? They're not the best units. Like, Sitanai is, how would I describe it? Like, she is borderline basic good enough, like probably the definition of a mid servant. And a lot of people are gonna hear like, mid, she sucks. I'm like, I didn't say she sucks, but she's not particularly great at any one thing either, right? She is just kind of a mid servant, right? Same thing for Jean. Like, Jean's got a really strong NP and they gave her a buff to help her out, but you're still not going to be picking her over other supports or even other defensive supports, because she's not quite there yet, right? Like, she needs a little bit more, right? And so, if you want to go for Ereshkigal, go for her. If you want to go for the other guys, wait for a free 5-star ticket, or for either one of them, or wait for the free 4-star ticket and pick up your Nero, right? You'll save a lot more Saint Quartz, especially because I'm not trying to freak people out, but we do get, like, the NA exclusive Thanksgiving banner, unless Losengal's going to change that. And if we are going to be getting that this year, there's going to be a lot of limited units that will be coming back around. And I myself am kind of holding on to some of my Saint Quartz. I don't have a huge stash going right now. Oh, there's my login. That's embarrassing. But, well, then, you know, then again, it's not like that late, all right? We did just hit login. But I'm starting to slowly just start saving things up over here, right? Because I'm kind of hesitant as to what we're going to get for Thanksgiving. So I'd advise some people to be a little cautious, maybe pull back on some of these bait banners and wait for Thanksgiving and see if they don't bring back anybody's super hype. But on that note, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace, late guys.